Okay, I guess I'm talking now. Hi, I'm Amy. These are my paintings. Thank you for being here. I'm really excited to be here and alongside this a really amazing group show of friends of mine. It's really fun to see everybody here in the same space. A little bit about these works, and I will try to be incredibly brief because I know we're all like hanging out. My work is it's non-linear work, as will be my talking right now. I like to think about a lot of things at the same time. So, if you're trying to like make a literal narrative out of things, it won't make sense quite. If you're trying to look at the perspective in the space, it won't make sense quite. But I feel like that's how life is. Like, it doesn't quite make sense. So in the work, I'm thinking a lot about ritual and milestones and the way that we as human beings kind of like how we celebrate, how we come together, how we grieve, how we, again, mark time. I worked for a long time at Hallmark Cards and, thought a lot about these moments, maybe in ways that were, a lot more didactic, but I've kind of taken some things away with that. And I think about, especially in this time that I was making this work, it was during COVID. And so I'm like, we can't be with people, and I can't have people in my work and I don't see people. But I was thinking a lot about these symbols of the people that I thought about and about moments that I wanted to kind of relive. And I was having that reliving in still life. It's funny, I was telling somebody earlier tonight, when I was in high school, I had an art teacher who, made me make still lifes and made me paint still lifes, and I hated it. And I was like, still lifes are the most boring thing. Why would anybody make a still life painting? But then kind of recently, I learned that still lifes were a thing that a lot of women made because during the kind of 18th century, there was a hierarchy of paintings in the academy, and religious paintings were at the top of the hierarchy, figure paintings were at the top of the hierarchy, still life paintings were considered kind of low in the hierarchy, but women couldn't make religious paintings or figure paintings because they weren't allowed to be in figure classes and study anatomy. So I thought it was really interesting that this process of making still lifes actually became associated with women's work. And I'm really interested in that, this idea that, these things that were sort of pushed into a lower class of painting for a while, that I wanted to kind of embrace in a different way and think about in the context of all these other things that were going on at the same time in my head. So again, non-linear, lots of things going on at once, feminism and ritual and celebration and all of it. But again, that's life, and that's these paintings, and that's where we're at. They are meaningful. I use a lot of symbols in my work, so they're actually mostly meaningful from the point of view of symbology. I also think a lot about, again, decor, deck arts, and the fact that, again, this is a way of art making that was sort of dismissed for a long time as this is domestic. This is about the kinds of things that people do to make their home nice. Again, I worked in industries where that's what I did. I worked at Hallmark. I worked in home decor industries. So I kind of come from that history. My mom and my grandparents all did folk arts also in that history. So I think I'm adopting a lot of things from all of those languages. But again, trying to kind of sit them next to fine art references to Hilma Flint and to Lee Krasner, and thinking about all of these things collectively and how they're all a part of our cultural language. And it's not, high art and low art. I think of these things all together. Yes, so that painting is kind of about creation in general. And there's a lot of references in that painting that are about energy and the process of creation as being a space of a good energy space, a generative place. And the Venus of Willendorf reference was something that I put in there. It was literally the last thing that I painted. And it was kind of like, how do I tell people that this is about the beginning of something? And so that's how that ended up there. That's a good question. Yes, you'll see like some references to like propagation. There's a lot of plants, but there's a lot of plants that are like being propagated to be like new plants. And that's like one like tangible thing I could like point to right now. But yeah, like I actually like a very future oriented person. Like I think a lot about like visions of the future and like how artists can impact the future and like how I want to impact the future. So there are a lot of references to like, this is the start of something new, not necessarily like where things end. For me, okay. So candles show up in a lot of different practices, right? I am not a religious person. I don't like assign to any particular religion. But I was thinking a lot about like how people mark moments, and candles showed up like all the time, like birthdays, like mourning, like, and so there was a moment, and particularly during COVID, when I was kind of trying to like process things myself, and I'm like, I guess people use candles to do that. So I don't know, I started lighting a lot of candles, and like I was reading about that practice, and like you'll see that there's a lot of different colored candles. There's a lot of like color coding in how people use candles. But it's actually like very similar to color coding and like color theory, like the kind of emotion and the things that it evokes. So like the candles that show up and the colors that the candles are, it's actually a reference to sort of like different like color theory things, and like reference to different emotions and also to how people process those. So one thing I'll note, like black candles seem to scare people. Like black candles for me were about protection. So it's kind of more like this painting was actually like a painting that happened during the duration of COVID, and it was kind of about like creating a space of safety. So it's funny, like my association with that particular color candle is a little different than what other people might feel. But there's also like a lot of differently colored candles throughout, and a lot of times it's about like vitality and life and a spark. So it kind of means different things in different paints. You know, to be honest with you, if I could, and I'm looking at Kevin, where's Kevin, my friend? Kevin someday is gonna make me a canvas that's like a totally other shape. It's not any of these shapes. I think I would love to like break out of like all the expected shapes, and like I think the circles and the vignettes like were like my little tiptoe into like how could I do that. I don't know, like I don't like the rules, and I don't like the conventions, and the like this is how it is, the still goes in this painting in the frame. So I think I'm still thinking about ways to like go beyond that and outside of that. But yeah, that's where the circles start. Thank you. Yay.